That idea is really about, the continuous growth of African music, globally, and even amongst us Africans. We can realize that the sound we have, the sound is very dynamic, and maybe probably close to every 5 years or less, the sound is changing. So the fusion, you have to be very open-minded as a musician to be able to allow yourself to carry, what is happening, so that you don't get stuck, So for me, as somebody who carries this fusion of reggae, dancehall, Afrobeat, high life, I just embody everything. I can say that excellently, because I could drop you a high life, I could drop you a dancehall, and it's all catalog is heavy. So I can speak about fusion, as one of the people who is pushing the whole, African music narrative of music of black origin coming from Ghana. And interestingly, Ghana sits in the center of the world, basically, and therefore it's not by coincidence that, we are gifted like this as Ghanaian musicians, or, in any endeavor that you find yourself. Ghana has some of the best quality, products in terms of human resource globally. And so I'm proud to always carry this fusion along. And that's just what it is. Yeah.
Speaking for the world and for African music. Now, I could hog this whole interview, but I know Benji has a few questions.
yes.
Maybe to talk more about, your music and all. So right from the times I started listening to you, there's a lot more deliberateness about the messaging. And one thing I find is you tend to write a lot of songs that speak to certain issues. So I listen to something like Suit and Tie. I listen to Run Go. I listen to Greedy Men. And these are all very purpose-driven music to drive a certain action or response.
Of course.
What's the motivation around that catalog within your repertoire?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for stating it from that far. And I would add, one of the very current songs in that line is Believe in Africa.
Yes.
Which is actually a production between Africa Prosperity Networks and, myself, Stonebwoy, in churning out such a message into a musical format, and that's the only way it can live forever, So you can realize that I am a conscious, artist from the beginning, not forgetting my reggae dancehall roots, of course, simply because when I found reggae, I found out that is the way I could relate in that, in that moment, to be able to express myself, because I have a lot of things to speak about. And it is not only going to be the love songs. It is not only going to be the inspirational songs. There are going to be songs that will speak to issue, which is very, very, very important, because my inspirations have come from artists like that. Bob Marley, the Peter Toshes, from the reggae community. You know what that represents. So I'm always ready and intentional about my messaging, which is what music is supposed to be doing, be addressing certain message. And of course, as a carrier of such gift of words, sounds, and power, you have to be able to also be an exemplary to that you preach or that you say. So you can see that aligning, if you see a Stonebwoy proper and what I represent in terms of messaging, it goes hand in hand. So it's a way of life for me.
So still around the messaging, and so there's that one catalog where you try to address certain issues in society, but there's also the other aspect where there's a lot of inspiration, especially a song like One Day, one day,
it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow, exactly. And you have one of your very early ones. You did a collaboration with this lady, Ashaman Boy, the Love, the Ashaman Love, that all of those ones.
Ghetto Love with Irene Logan. Loyalty and all them.
And so there's also that catalog in there. Is the inspiration because of your beginnings, or it is just something that you have identified in society and you are seeking to just create a space of inspiration for others to have a certain believability?
I think it's both. I know it's both. I know it's both because you are a part of society and society is a part of you. So the things that we observe, the things that we see, the things that we can relate to also become a part of us. So it spans, the inspiration is carried from both ends,
And you still around that particular theme of the inspiration and where you're coming from and your performances. And just before you came in, we were talking about some of the places you started from, the High Grade family, working with all of those people, Jam Master J and all. Has that in any way influenced your preference for the performance element as you consider your highest preference within the range of your engagement as far as your music is concerned?
You mean working with these great guys?
Yes.
Yes. We work and we learn. The thing is, before High Grade, there was a journey also, which would also need to be acknowledged because it really also contributed to before then and then afterwards. So right from Kasahari, which would harness our talent as young guys who would come on radio and be given the opportunity to freestyle and show talent.
You're talking about Adom Kasahari.
Exactly. So that also has been a thing. And from around those times, we could only see what is on TV. I would watch a lot of reggae dancehall clips, a lot of reggae shows, dancehall shows. I'm a reggae dancehall head proper. I mean, of course, with some hip hop. But the similarity between these two genres of music for me at the time that I was growing up to was like more similar because they were revolutionary sort of musical styles. The hip hop would also, give you some consciousness, some love, some vibe. So it was just like I was enjoying them both, learned a lot from that, and then continued through the Kasahari times, came through the Quick Action times where Quick Action produced Fefe Fed, legendary TikTok, VIP, from 4x4, Book Back. So he found me on that program and then we connected. So I was always like a studio rat over there. During my senior high school time for like 3 years, I was always like, when I vacate, I'm there. Weekends, I'm there. When I'm absent from school, I'm there.
Which senior high school?
Tema Methodist Day.
Oh, Tema Medas.
Yeah. So, I'm actually speaking to the time before. So I think that season is a very strong season that maybe not captured as much as from after High Grade, but it's very important to also note because there were people who played some key roles in there, like Afro Moses himself, like Shasha Mali, like Black Rasta, and Black Prophet, them, the Revolution Band. Like we came all the way from the Bullet Man, right from scratch, up until the High Grade time. When the High Grade time was like when I finished school, when I was at the SS, and then Sasamini also was recording over that side. So, we got the connection from there and we took it off. I also came through the learning process through that side. GMJ, still a brother. We speak very often. It was his wife's birthday like 3 days ago.
Yeah, we actually wished the happy birthday.
Exactly. So you see, I'm not telling lies. Yeah, man. So the building process is always in progress for me.
There'll be many steps of the way.
Yes, and it's not ending. It's not ending. God willing, in the next 2-3 years from here, I'll be speaking about the journey 2-3 years ago, plus what I've said already. So for me, it's a continuous process up until when the physical person is not here, and still the journey will continue. So give thanks. All of those have built my capacity, my capabilities, my mentality.
All the ETs.
Yes.
Just before we walked, I was telling Nanaya about how musicologists should probably pay attention to study you. I mean, your craft, because you have this beautiful mixed bag of catalogs within the repertoire base, right?
Yeah.
But now you've moved on from just becoming a great recorder, a great performer, but also a businessman, Benetton Music.
Yeah.
I mean, how did you manage that transition from being the musician to becoming the businessman?
I think the musician would always come first, which I'd prefer to choose because that is the first calling, and that is the gift on its own. So I would love to be the musician and everything else be in the back seat. But I think some number of years ago, I have had to, grow in terms of knowing what is behind, because it's really the stuff that we don't see that power the stuff that we see.
Yeah.
Like your organs are hidden. You can hardly see them, but they power the whole existence.
Everything is inside.
Exactly. So we have had to also get accustomed to the ways that things are done from the back end, and therefore Benetton Music Group, single-handedly, so proprietor pushing and collaborating, learning, opening it up, and then this is where we are today, and is the machinery behind everything Stonebwoy, including the partnerships that have always been from when we started partnering.
Yeah.
But Benetton Music Group would forever be the the springboard behind.
And you have a number of people signed on.
Yes, and we've definitely supported and signed some artists before, already. And then I'm happy to also announce here that you're going to be hearing about Beam Nation Next Generation, which is going to be, like an academy sort of for these young ones, because till yesterday, everybody knows when I find a platform, I'm putting guys on. Like the last time I performed, which was even at Legon,
yeah,
at the Leman
Hall Week.
You saw me bring out some of the guys, so this is Beam Nation Next Generation, and I love to do this every time. I love to, me now, when I after my last paper in school, I put up a thing for my SPSG weekend.
Yeah.
Brought some of the brothers. It gives me joy and happiness to always uplift, because it reminds me of my very, very early beginnings. And these are opportunities that were never really there, So if I'm here, I feel it, I know it, I get that empathy. So I'm definitely pushing. And it's not like pity, but I love it. The fact that iron sharpeneth iron, that's it. That's just it for me. I love that.
You rise by lifting others.
Exactly. But sometimes you have to be careful who you lift or the kind of weight you lift, else is going to lift you behind. So I think I go by the iron sharpeneth iron kind of. Yes, because if it's not an iron, then you cut it. If, vice versa. So
it's taking things also to the next cultural level, and some people, our Facebook commenters, have said, a few of them, that they really admire the performance. It was one of the highlights of the TGMA night, and we know the work that went into making that such a cultural moment. Also, some people remarking on the collaboration with Angelique Kidjo and Manoji, and talking about your particular, even though you're moving on the next cultural step, there is also this thing of finding your way back to your roots.
Yeah.
The thing of using more Ive in your music, which you were talking about just before you came in. What's the cultural significance of those sometimes international collaborations, but particularly the songwriting in Ive? Is it like your first musical language?
It must be, because born into an Ewe home. Both parents, Ewes, that's why my first language. That's my mother tongue, definitely. You speak it, and I can speak it very well, So that is it. And I've always loved to express myself in my mother tongue, because there's some uniqueness with it. It comes with its own beauty. And it's interesting to realize that whilst you are sticking to your roots and diversifying, you are not just representing for a particular ethnicity. You are really reminding all of that. You're really reminding and representing for other ethnic groups, because and the totality of it therefore makes us Ghanaians and makes us Africans eventually. So one for all for one. I'm saying, so that's the mentality that I've always carried alongside, and it's beautiful. I think those who followed my career for a very long time, I'm one of the guys who started infusing some Ewe lines into the dancehall flair, like lo nye melo unless you know wamuna no jina na mako lo nye gajujo. If you over the hills and valleys, from mountain top to the gully, it's like 2010, 9 thereabout. And I've always had Mijo, Zova, you know, me take be a thing I go, me take it, this one, I than love, me dash it, and they read my make the gala move, you know, so that's how you get the Afro dancer that I pioneered, you know, to be able to give it a name that can easily be recognizable, where when you ask what you do, you're like Afro dancer, what's that? Afro beats plus dancer, literally, that's it. The fusion of it, therefore, you know, yeah. Reggae is distinct, of course, with the rhythm alone, you know, that's reggae. And even on those ones, I still put that fusion of, you know, Afro dancer style on there, just by being able to make people know your roots. And you do without your roots, then you're not standing anywhere. You know, you're rootless, so you just be hanging. So I'm happy and grateful that it has been, and it's now even more evident, you know, at these levels, where maybe people will think that, you know, it wouldn't matter, but I think this is the right time to continuously even fuse more and more of these styles, which is why you have a song like Manoji, which is a beautiful blessing, and that song was recorded 6 years ago.
Whoa!
What?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa!
Yeah.
And it's been in the can.
No, are you serious?
Of course.
So if you have gold in the can like that, 6 years old, what else have we got?
That's the question.
Well, somebody does want to ask if album 6 is going to be full of reggae and dancehall songs, but perhaps more of that later on. But Inshra.
Yeah. I mean, Stonebwoy, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Winning I personally am not surprised. It's something that I have told him many, many times, that as far as the reggae genre is concerned in this country, I'm yet to see one comparable to him. And it's largely because you've stayed true to the roots. But roots in itself is a spectrum. How has the evolution come about for you? You just talked about how you stay true to your origin of ever, and you throw it in there. But do you see this emulated across the continent, where other people are going to now start, you know, maybe like do reggae music in Swahili and things like that?
Yeah, I think that has been a long time. That has been going on before myself.
Okay.
Remember, we have great legends like I want to go right back into, you would know,
Ghanaian or
Rutanabo,
yes.
These are the first group that perform in Jamaica, to my knowledge. You know, we have the Rocky, the Unis,
Kente and Co.
So that's our style, literally. There's always an infusion, and we bring it all the way to Samini, who blew it up, you know, won the mobiles and pushed it to that height. So you can understand the fusion was there, you know, already. And when you go to Kenya, when you go to Uganda, when you go to Gambia, you know, Senegal, you know, like Metadia, them, they use their Wolof and chop it off. And I think this is where we have to make. This is what makes me believe that once it's music of black origin, then it stems from here.
True.
That's why I've always argued that we are the originals, you know, black people, black music, you know, are the originals of what we love. Could be the reggae, could be the Afrobeats and dancehall. So I'm not going to be the first one who would ever, you know, have that combination. But of course, they say the way it's done is unique. The way I've been able to also tap into inspiration and remake is unique. Whereby you find how I'm placing it and still having very authentic Jamaican representation, which would be representing for our people same way on a deeper level, and representing for typical Africans same way, and then to the world. So I see it happening everywhere. I have friends all over Zimbabwe who are doing great. They also do the same one. But I believe that with the continuation, it has become even more bigger and better and popular fusion of African dialects on the reggae and dancehall style. Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, let's talk about your passing. I think that you've enjoyed a certain level of deep acceptance and likability amongst your fans. What do you think accounts for that?
I think it's everything that I embody and represent is what accounts for that, because they can relate, you know. to break it down to simple terms, we are all selling a product eventually. And if somebody cannot relate to why they have to use such a product, then they can't relate. And if you maintain quality, you maintain marketability, and you are able to appeal to the masses, then you become like Pepsodent. Every toothpaste becomes Pepsodent.
That's right.
I mean,
I know what you mean. Just like every newspaper is called graphic.
Exactly. So I think that is what has contributed to it. A lot of hard work, a lot of intentionality, a lot of opening up to continuously learn the craft, because it's changing. The change is a constant. So you have to be able to dynamize. And I think it's very interesting how I believe that every 5 years I've emerged to win Artist of the Year, to use that as an example to show that I am constantly evolving. My last 2 albums are very dynamic. You can see that it's representing a global sound but still has the African grounds inside of it. And that's why somebody's asking, is if the next album is going to be all reggae. Of course, I have reggae albums sitting at home. If Manoji is 6 years, of course you can understand the kind of stuff that I have.
With this
I like that. But talking about Manoji, your collaboration with the legend Angelique Kidjo, who made the call first?
I did. After I contacted Denta. Denta brought Angelique to Ghana for an event, and then she's known my intentions. She's been a big sister, so she's known my intentions, and we've partnered on a lot of things right from Guba when she started it from inception. I'm one of the very first ones who supported her in the endeavor as a young artist at that time. So we've had that relationship. So immediately she's like, she said, I'm like, yeah, of course. I remember waking up early morning out of my bed around 8 to meet with her before she flies out of the country. And that was very nice. She's a big, great legend and is a mother. So she embodies the mother, attributes everywhere, anytime, because we are definitely her kids, in the industry. So she really connected, like we all say, spirits meet first. So she connected and loved my Opemasem. So we took it from there as a mother and son, and then I shared the music. But interestingly, I've always known that particular song is what I'm going to send to her, and it worked, because all the collaborations I've done with all these great legends have always been a one touch. Like once a song is made, we know that's the one, and anytime we share it, they even love it more. So there was a verse of mine, the second verse, I'm on a journey, if I would have gone never returning now. At a point when we were still arranging the music, we felt like, okay, let me just put that verse away. And then I go to, we did that, and then we're shooting the video. We're about to shoot the video. Within that week, I'm about to travel to France. And then she asks, like, this last mix, I can't hear that to your ragga. I'm like, really? So we had to bring it back on there. So, that's how we saved that verse, and that also gave me the indication of how, imagine an Angelique. I wouldn't have thought an Angelique would be interested
in the
ragga addition. So it tells you that it's
catching the vibe.
Yes, it's really making sense. So that's how the beautiful record came across. Big respect to Master Gazi. These are my close guys. There are some producers that I work with closely, not only because we come from far, but but because we can relate very well. I can just pick it and be like, I'm thinking like this, and by the time I realize, they can churn out something that is just on my mind. So we took time to bring the life out of the song, because that was not how the record started. It only started with the ting ting ting. Ting, ting.
It was the guitar.
It was just the guitar.
It wasn't the trumpet.
believe you me, the beginning of that whole song, what actually caught me to start that record was just the guitar. That was how raw it was.
Wow.
You know. So that was that's the base of that song. You know, and so we knew this is too special to be rushed. So we took time to bring the live out of it, and eventually ended up playing it all live. And then that's how the final record was made.
You know, 10 years ago, 10 years ago, I think it was the very first time Gramps Morgan came to Ghana. And we had this impromptu concert right in front of Rockstone's office. After his performance, we all sat and watched everyone else perform, including you, Episode, and a number of... Were you surprised at the love that he developed for you after watching you that day?
I think yes and no. Yes, because of course these are great legends that can decide to whether pay attention or not. And then no, because I believe that I'm putting in the best of me, you know, at every given opportunity. So if it catches the eye of, you know, great ones, and at that time I've had hit songs already, so there should be a lot of confidence to be able to know what you're trying to deliver. Because 10 years ago, now would be what, 2000 and
that would be 2014.
2014, and I won Artist of the Year 2015 to the BETs. So around them time, we were still on, you know, we had some hits and all of that. So looking out, and I had some really raga reggae songs where they would have heard, you know, a few, you know. So right from developed that love, and then they, you know, we went on tour. So they took me on tour for the first time, Morgan Heritage. Morgan, may so rest in peace. So that's where we formed the bond, and then they gave me an inch, I made it into a mile. You know, and that's how we kept going and going till today. So my first entry to reggae, international reggae community, is Morgan Heritage. God bless them. And this is where we've performed. The last show we did together was in Guyana, you know. Emancipation was beautiful. You know, I eventually brought them back to Ghana for the Beam Festival, Beam concert. You know, the same way, like Beanie Man, Busy Signal, Jamil, Tentik, you know. So, you know, yeah, man.
So in addition to the praise coming through from Constance Agbemanu Ahosu for the traditional music, he describes it, Manoji. Also question from Kin Kelly saying, ask our president, when are we getting the song with Duncan Mighty? Collaboration.
Yeah, it soon come. Duncan Mighty and I did 2 songs, so at least one will not miss. But both songs are crazy. It's going to come soon. You see, the thing is that sometimes I want the fans to know that sometimes we want to be like them, where we can just be dropping music any day, because but it's not like that. It's a really considered as a product that has to go through a lot of processes, but etc. before it comes out. I would have loved to be just dropping everything when I record it, but that cannot be the best way. You have to have a plan for the child.
There's still a lot of curiosity about collaborations.
Yes.
People are asking you, have you collaborated with Amaria? This is Kevin.
Amare
Amare Bibi, and
of course,
and also
Amaria Bibi. Yeah. Of course, of Amaria Bibi. Yeah, I've got a song Amaria. I recorded, years ago as well, like three years by Nano Rogues. And that's Amaria, one young, talented, British singer, rapper, Jamaican born, same way.
And the thing of Kerry Hilson, obviously an international hit with that, and people asking also about a remix that you've got, an Overlord remix using Jamil LaRusso, and is that
that's also that's also coming. That's one of the biggest. Them are not believer, Thomas and Judas, head back over in the blood of Jesus. Lucas, when you want to pump me school, but you don't know why you not pat mama cookers. Yo, we have some big things coming. Just
when?
By before the year ends, God willing.
Okay, before
we would have an album drop. So
with that
we're serving a platter, a buffet.
With that much in the vault, would you ever consider releasing a double album?
Yeah, I did before on Episodes of Mama. That was a 24-track double album.
Would you do a repeat of that?
I could. I could, depending on how things go. But lately, I think that attention span is really very short, in terms of music. So I might not waste, music, but I'd rather take time.
It for those of us who would take our
time.
Yeah,
I can cut. Yeah, I believe that I can cut some for, I can cut some specials for those who would want to. But we have some materials that will continue to fill in the gaps for music here in Ghana and on the continent.
But over and above the filling in of gaps, is there a next big project that you're working towards? I mean, we know on the social responsibility front, because of course you're not just the musician, you're also the man in the community. You talked about the deep sense of your roots and where you're coming from, and there are causes out there that even aren't anything to do with your personal background, but you're very much involved with. Autism, widows and support for widows. You've done a high school climate change tour and so on. Is there something that is a music tie-in with some of this social responsibility work or rooted work that you're doing in communities?
I mean, is there some of these ones that are music tied in? Like that has music, like a music project?
Would you consider doing like an album off your climate change tour of high school?
Oh, nice. That an album hasn't been thought of in terms of, but I have a songs that tackle that those are special songs that I think one in between time could do, and then maybe you can put it all together and musically adulterate it to give it some type of vibe. I'm actually the other night I was thinking about doing some orchestra kind of vibe. I was thinking of doing some symphony major kind of performance. So maybe I could, these songs, like he said, I have different catalogs within the catalog. Yes, we adopted an autism center in Tema called Hope Setters, owing to one of the very peculiar, observations or by one of their students, and that actually, there's a short mini documentary on that one that I think is online, that people can watch, and it inspires me to do more. So in terms of the social aspect, of course, the Livingston Foundation keeps doing my widow's mite, but constantly also doing things below the radar. And it's some of these things I just, because we are all serving humanity, this I've come to know. No matter what you do, you're serving humanity. Right here, you're speaking through the microphone, you're serving humanity. Somebody's listening, somebody's tuning, you're a doctor, you're serving you. No matter what you do, we all are here to serve ourselves. So one way or the other, the best ways we can, we'll continue to, do our charitable stuff. And I'm open to also partnering with very serious-minded, institutions, organizations. Like the other day, we're in talks with the NHIA, in terms of the dialysis situation. So we can put, so as a in quote, as an astute, musician, I think it comes with a lot of, things that can be done that I can be used for as well, and which is the other side of me, basically. So every good thing you've heard is true.
If you had to choose someone to clash with, local, international, who would it be?
I ain't clashing no more.
Oh, why?
No, there's no why. And the thing is, if anybody has to clash with me, with all due respect, I think, on a class terms, you have to be on my levels.
And you don't think anybody's of your level now?
I just said you have to. I'm not saying anybody is not.
Raising that word clash, which is of course a trigger for us because of your involvement in Sound Clash, and this continuing rivalry stroke the thing that you have with Shatta Wale. Just to clear the air, because of the kerfuffle over the weekend after you played the Liman Hall event, Shatta Wale on the same day supposed to perform at the TK Hostel, and the event being called off at the last minute. Just to tell people, were you behind the cancellation in any shape or form? Did you have anything to do with it?
That was really ridiculous to have heard, because it's just like waking up in the morning to being accused strongly of extra powers. I have power, but
you are not in the metaphysical.
I have power. Yes, I still exist on all dimensions,
the fifth dimension and all.
But I cannot abuse. Even if I had such power, I can't abuse it like that, And I have I have nothing at all to do with. So I'm surprised where the accusations will be coming from, but I believe it's normal with with a brother like him to always find a way to make me look very, very, very powerful.
He believes in your power.
Yeah, of course. That's the only thing I can say about it, because I don't even know where to start from. Like, it's ridiculous. Zero. I only went to perform at my event, and that's all I can remember. I'm not an event organizer. I have zero, nothing. And I think the dean respectfully came out and we all are seeing that. We just have to amplify that some more. But this is where the truth comes to be, that those who, that's why I hate to always explain, because there are people who didn't believe it anyway. And even after the deans and etc. have come to speak on the truth of the matter, you find out that now those who disbelieved and cussed me and all of that are refusing to render apologies. So that's like they're already, that's their mentality, and I don't know, I have nothing to do with that at all. It's rather sad. And of course I want to refrain, like I'm not in any rivalry with anybody. I just have to state that, because this is a good opportunity to let the world know I'm not in no rivalry situation. I'm a married man, I'm solid. I'm not fighting anybody. We can all see a beef is when you get replies, or rivalry is when it's back and forth. So it's not qualified to be called a rivalry.
You are not minding.
I just need to state that. Yeah.
This one, it's if people want to carry on talking about it, you're not going to talk about it. Just finally, from the fans, they want to know that appearance in public with Taylor Swift. You seem to get on very well with her. And also wondering about any connection with Rihanna, but particularly Taylor Swift. Any ideas of collabo there?
Yeah, these are big dreams, and we have had big dreams that have come true. So, as close as we've gotten in person, that means that nothing is impossible. Here I am, done a song with Angelique Kidjo, who I was listening to as a baby.
Yeah.
Here I had done songs with Shabba, recorded something with Shabba on release, done something with even Bob Marley, Beanie Man, Sean Paul. Like in my line of genre, I believe that I've hit a PhD in my line of genre, owing to the contributions as well, not only in terms of because I've done performances in Jamaica on some of the topmost platforms, Rebel Salute, Reggae Sumfest, Summer Jam, all of that. So in my line of career, so I'm now, I believe that, very ready to be able to get going. I've done something with Rick Ross the other time as well. So like, I think Stonebwoy has definitely, gotten to a point where he can go further than how far he's come, and it's just about continuously believing in my purpose